Hi guys, it's Holly. This is gonna be my like 1 month postpartum update, I guess, and I'll show you my belly if she'll let me put her down. Um, so I had her on December 1st, which is really awesome because it means that next year or this year, um, first of all, she turns a new month on the first of every month, and she is the same months old as the month, which is awesome. So it'll be really easy to remember how old she is, although it's not like I would forget anytime soon. But so I was in labor for 26 hours, although most of it was not hard labor. If I would have known that my labor was going to go like that, I would have stayed home for about 16 hours before going to the hospital. But my mom had like 6 hour labors, and my grandma, whose body type I have, I asked her how her labors went, and she said they were really fast also. So I figured mine were going to go really fast too, because I like everyone in my family has had like really fast labors. So um, when I started having contractions, they weren't all that strong or long. Like they felt like Braxton Hicks, but they were like totally 5 minutes apart from the beginning. So I went to the hospital and ended up being there for a very long time. And I progressed really slowly, and they admitted me. And I think the only reason they actually admitted me when I went in, or like I walked around for a few hours, and then they admitted me. And I think the only reason they did is because I was over my due date by 5 days. Um, and I have already I wrote my labor and delivery story on my blog, so I'll put a link down below because I don't think I'll be able to remember everything and be able to retell it, and that would make this video super long. So I have already talked about it, but the highlights are I was super chill the whole time. I was just like chatting with the nurses. They were like so excited that I was so chill and kind, and like I didn't scream or yell at like anyone. I kept falling asleep because I was there for over a day, and I went to the hospital at midnight, so I was like super tired, got like no sleep at all. And then she was born at 7 minutes to midnight later, like pretty much the next day. So she was born at 11:53 p.m. on December 1st, so she was almost born on the second, but not quite. She inched in. I was really glad that she did. Um, the highlights: my water was broken. I kept asking them to break my water. I really wanted my water to be broken, but I didn't put it in my birth plan because I didn't know if it was going to break ahead of time. It didn't. So I was like, will you please break my water? And they're like, no, we want, because it'll hurt. We want you to be further along. So I was like, okay. So they broke my water finally, and oh my gosh, I'm really glad it didn't break on its own because it was so much more fluid than I thought it was going to be. Oh my gosh, I would have like completely destroyed wherever I was. Um, and then, oh, bless you. And then I kept falling asleep. I took 2 baths because I requested a room with a tub as opposed to a shower. The birthing ball was awesome. Like I loved that. But I labored a little bit on that. But I guess it made her heart rate go down, so I couldn't do it that much. Um, both times I took a bath, I kept falling asleep. So I fell asleep for a couple hours afterwards. And falling asleep made my labor slow down. And so I did get induced a little bit, but it wasn't until like 16 plus hours into it. And they only had to use a tiny bit, and that just made it go. And that's when I decided I wanted an epidural because it was going so slowly. I didn't want to be in like a ton of pain for a long time. So, so I got an epidural right before they induced me. And so I just chilled for the next like 3 or 4 hours until she was born. And when it came time to push, since I'm a wind player, I have played the trombone for half my life. I was really good at pushing. And I just, even though the epidural completely made me like absolutely numb, um, when I pushed, I was pushing the right way, so it was nice. And so um, I pushed for like 4 contractions. There was a 5th contraction, but the midwife wasn't ready. Also, my midwife was on holiday. I missed her actually by 7 hours, but so I had the midwife on call, but she was really cool, and I liked her a lot, and so I wasn't worried at all. And the nurses were all really nice. So when it came time to push, my contractions like stopped, which was really annoying. My contractions never got more than 3 minutes apart. They were never like on top of each other. So I had to wait around for a contraction before I could push. But she wasn't in my birth canal very long, so her head didn't get all cone shaped, which was really nice, I guess. And she didn't have any bruising at all. So when she came out, I pushed her out in one push. Like, I felt her head pop out, and I still had lots of the push left, so I just kept pushing because I was like, I don't care, I have an epidural. So I kept pushing, and she came out one push, and they immediately put her on my chest. They didn't even suction her first. They just whoop, whoop. And I was just like, all I cared about was like, who does she look like? Who does she look like? And I looked at her, I was like, I don't know who she looks like. Oh my gosh, I can't tell. I thought it would be easier than this. And then she started crying, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's crying. Ah. And then the nurse was like, by the way, she is really a girl. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot to like think about that. And because we did know she was a girl before she was born. And my husband cut the cord, and they delivered my placenta without me even like realizing it. So I was like, oh, cool, you already did it. And then they're like, you tore. And I was like, oh, I'm not surprised. I had epidural, so I'm not surprised I tore since I just pushed her out without stopping and letting it stretch out. But it was a level 2 tear, and it was where they would have cut me open. Anyway, so I was like, whatever. So they're just stitching me up. I'm just chatting. I'm just like chatting with them while they're stitching me up, and she's totally pooping. It's awesome. So yeah, I had a vag full of stitches, and then I tried breastfeeding, and she latched right away, so I had no issues breastfeeding her. Yes. It just hurt so bad that I almost stopped, but thankfully now it's finally healing. December 18th was the first day that I nursed, and it like wasn't like excruciating pain when she latched, so that was, yes, finally getting better. Lanolin is your friend. It made my scabs not hard and cracked, so yes. Recovery was really easy. I mean, except, so Ryford delivered her, and like they did everything. I was hungry, so I ate some pizza, and I felt really weird, so I was trying to drink a bunch of water. I just felt weird, and a couple hours later, the nurses had me try to stand up to go to the bathroom. My left leg was still completely dead. My right leg was, I had feeling. My left leg, I was like, I can't even feel my left leg, so you guys are gonna have to hold me. So I go to the edge of the bed, I stand up, take a step, and then I was like, I'm gonna pass out. And I passed out cold. And I woke up, and I was like back in the bed, and they're like, hey, and they're like, do you have a ringing in your ears? And it was like a super loud ringing in my ears. I was like, yeah, I do. I was like, oh wow, I actually really passed out. And they're like, you are so pale. And they checked my blood pressure, and it was 80/60. So I was like, oh, well, no wonder I passed out, because I just lost like all of this fluid, and I have low blood pressure anyway. My blood pressure never went high this pregnancy. I never blew up like a balloon, so that was really nice. But because my blood pressure is low, it got lower, and so I couldn't stand up without passing out. And so they gave me an IV fluid, whatever. And then I went to postpartum, and my husband was already there and everything, and I was really tired, of course, and my midwife was on call actually like the day she came back from holiday, so she actually came to my postpartum room and visited me for a couple minutes, said hi, and I was like, I'm so glad to see you, and she got to see my baby and all that, so that was nice. And I wasn't allowed to get up on my own because I was gonna fall over every time I stood up, and so to pee I had to like have the nurses help me. And like I'd heard lots of stories about how people like they're so swollen they can't pee and they can't poop, but I didn't have that problem. I was so lucky. It was a bloody mess, of course, but I didn't have a problem peeing. It didn't hurt. It didn't whatever. It hurt to sit. I got a hemorrhoid when I pushed, and that hurt more than like the stitches did. And for a good like couple weeks postpartum, like it really had a vag full of stitches, and so it really hurt to like sit on them. It really hurt to like get from sitting to standing. A couple days ago, two of my stitches came out a couple days ago. Yay! Like I was sitting on this couch, and then I was just like, ow, something is poking my urethra. It's really uncomfortable, and I'm pretty sure it's not a hair. I think it might be a stitch, and so I decided to take a bath. And when I took off my underwear, there was a stitch in my underwear, and I was like, sweet, I was right. And then I took a bath, and then I found another stitch like floating around in the bath water, which is kind of gross. But I was like, oh, here's another stitch. So two of my stitches have come out. I do know that I tore like inside my vagina, and I had like a couple stitches in it. So I think that's what they were. And I don't know if I have any other stitches. I don't feel like I have any other stitches, but I could. I feel so much better after those came out. Like it felt so much better down there. Like it was always sore. Like I can't stand for a long time because it's like, ow, my vagina starts to hurt. So, and everyone's like, oh, the swelling's gonna be gnarly. And so I had a mirror. I looked down there, and the swelling wasn't all that bad, really. I did not swell up. Like it wasn't that big a deal to me. I got really lucky with that. So, um, so my milk came in like 3 or 4 days after I delivered. Like when I delivered, I was like, oh, my milk's never gonna come in. And when it came in, like I knew that my boobs were gonna get big, but oh my gosh, I did not anticipate how big, just how gigantic my boobs were gonna be. I had boobs like Christina Hendricks, like that's how big they were, and they are just covered in stretch marks because my boobs aren't really that big to begin with. But oh my gosh, they were so big. It was just like comical how big they were. And they're still like so big and they still leak all the time. At night, my husband takes her and like gives her pumped breast milk. So I go several hours without nursing her at night. Although now that I'm getting more used to it, I do breastfeed her at night, so it's not as bad. But every morning I wake up and I'm just like soaked. And when I go to feed her, I'll take off, like take my boob out, and like milk will be spraying like 1 or 2 feet. And it sprays her in the face, and she gets mad. And she like coughs, chokes on it. So I have to sit her up, until she stops squeaking. And I'll put her back down, and I'll try to like press on it with my breast pad to stop. I soak through so many breast pads so fast. It's just ridiculous. I have an oversupply. She only takes one boob at a time, or at a feeding. So yeah, my poor boobs just like haven't figured it out yet. And I do pump because I'm planning on going back to work. So I'm gonna pump. I have just a hand pump, and we did get some like free formula from the hospital. So I have that if she drinks all the breast milk, or if I just like don't have any. I'm not opposed to formula. So I'm going to work 5 hours a week for a while, so it's just a 5 hour day. I'm hoping to work 20 hours a week and get 5 hours 4 days a week. I'll probably have to pump at work because turns out I leak a lot. So there's that. And my nipples took so long to heal. Like, oh my gosh, they hurt so bad. Like breastfeeding was easy with her, but with me I don't cry because of actual pain very often, and I cried because it hurts so bad. It was just ridiculous because they were like so raw. Oh, now she's crying. Don't cry, I'm making a video. So that's how that went. But weight wise, I got up to 190. My starting weight was like about 150. Like I weigh 145, that's like my ideal weight, but when I got married my diet changed, so I went up to like 155. And I don't know how much of that was from like weight gain and how much of it was from pregnancy, because this is actually my third pregnancy. I did lose 2 in a row right before I got pregnant with her, so I don't know how much of it was from pregnancy and how much of it was from just like my eating habits changing. But I got up to 190. I gained like 35, 40 pounds. My feet were killing me my whole pregnancy because my job, I sit, so I did not stand and walk around very much, and oh my feet hurt so bad. Walking around for an hour in the hospital, my legs almost gave out. Like, it was that bad. So I immediately lost like 15 pounds, and I just my appetite is gone, and so I'm just losing so much weight, and I'm breastfeeding, so I lost like most of my weight. So I weigh like 163 or so right now. So I only have like 10 or 15 pounds left until I'm back to my pre-pregnancy weight. So that's really nice too. So I'm hoping once I get a wrap, so I can like tie her to me once she's a little older, or I can use her stroller. I'm hoping to start going on a walk like every day, just around the neighborhood. So that way I'll melt some more of the weight off, but I'm so much thinner than I was. And it's really funny, I did not get any stretch marks on my belly at all. Like, my belly was pristine. But I have so many stretch marks on my thighs. Like, they popped up immediately. I have stretch marks on my thighs, above my thighs, on my butt. I have so many stretch marks. It is ridiculous. And they're bright red. But I am not doing anything about it because I don't care. The only time that they'd show, if they showed, would be if I was in a swimsuit. But I wear swim trunks over my swimsuit. I always have. So they will never be visible. So I'm not really that interested in trying to make them fade because I just don't care. They don't bother me. In fact, I'm really glad I have them because it means I finally have a baby. But when my stomach shrank, like 2 or 3 stretch marks showed up on my tummy, and so I'm like, what? I didn't have a single stretch mark, but now that my stomach has gone back down, there's like 3 that are visible. So they were like about to show up, but now they are, and they're not red. They're like a little purple. I don't really care. I'm just like, oh, I do have stretch marks. And so that was kind of interesting. And then, let's see, what else? Sleeping, I'm doing fine sleep-wise. Like, my body immediately got used to the, 2-hour at a time broken sleep. Also, my husband often will take her for, the whole night because he works at 1. And so he's able to stay up later. And we are night owls anyway. But I get really tired, so he'll let me sleep. So I'll sleep for a few hours, which is really nice. So I'm not super zombie sleep deprived. He kind of is, but I try to return the favor and let him sleep, and she's starting to sleep a little better. So that's really nice. I cannot wait for her to sleep for that long stretch at night. Right now she sleeps that long stretch during the day. She hasn't really figured it out yet. So it'll take time, especially because we don't go to bed at 8 and get up at 6. We go to bed at 2 and get up at noon. So it's kind of weird, but it'll fix itself. Once she's a little older and able to self-soothe and stuff, then I will get serious about getting her to change that schedule around. But until then, oh, she's so cute. Until then, it's really not that big of a deal because I'm on maternity leave still. Although next Monday I'm trying to go back to work. So we'll see how that goes. It's just a day a week right now. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. I guess that's pretty much... Oh, my bleeding. My bleeding has slowed down a lot. I don't need to wear a pad anymore. There is, blood on my underwear. A little bit, but it's clearer, I guess. It's not thick at all. It's, really thin. And when I wipe, there's, nothing. I finally have stopped bleeding. I am a little bit more than 4 weeks postpartum because she's a month old. She was 4 weeks old a couple days ago on Sunday. Oh, that's also really nice. She was born on a Sunday, so every Sunday she's a new week old, so that's really nice. I don't think I'll be doing week of life videos because I don't have a very good editing program that I know how to use because the new version of Windows Movie Maker I just haven't figured out, although I'll probably have to figure it out. And so I won't be able to do a whole lot with that right now. I'm kind of trailing off, sorry. But I guess I will show you my 1 month postpartum belly, although you really don't have anything to compare it to. I carried all out in front. Everybody was like, oh, you're not going to make it to your due date because you are so big already. And I was like, I'm going to be late. And sure enough, on my due date, nothing. She was 4 days after my due date is when I went into labor. I took castor oil, and 6 hours later, it says it takes 6 hours to work. 6 hours later, I went into labor. So I don't know if it was because of that, or if it was just time, but I'll take it. The castor oil wasn't that bad. It tasted like Macy's because it tastes like pure silk. But anyway, no, she's sleeping. I hope she doesn't get mad when I set her down. Here she is. Okay, I'm gonna set her down and hopefully she doesn't get too pissed off at me. Can you go right there for just a sec? Nope. She's making her tiny sound. Oh, she's making a lot more sounds now. Instead of just her cry, now it's like all these little grunts and cries and stuff. So she's like, no, mommy, you cannot. Okay, let's see. I'll put you right here. And okay, let's do this back. So let me turn it this way. Sorry. Okay. So here is with the shirt. It's coming up, but there's from the front, the side, and here. Here's what it looks like. I have been an outie my whole life, so my belly button has gone back in. And I have that line that's really dark. So here it is from the side. And from the other side. So, I don't know if it'll change all that much any further, but so there's my 1 month postpartum.